Hello, namaskaram, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs. Today we are going to learn many significant events of the past 24 to 48 hours. Specifically, the features that have enlightened us from the G20. It is important for us to know all this from the perspective of UPSC prelims as well as from the perspective of the UPSC mains examination, because many of you ask me that you need to make notes or not. I will say no, because I provide whatever notes are being used by me through my Telegram channel, that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can also follow me on my Instagram and follow me on my threads. So before I begin, I would like to inform you about the P2I courses that we are launching from 11th of September. These are the batches that you may need for UPSC 2024. This is available in Hindi, English and English. Test series for prelims and mains, ethics, essay, CSAT, interview, in addition to the GS for prelims, mains and interviews. Everything is covered over here. Even study material is provided along with the live classes. The live classes will be from 8 a.m. onwards. These are morning batches. Please do take admission as quick as possible, because we have already started with our batches. Whatever you may have missed, we are going to provide you in recorded format so that you do not miss on anything. So use the code PDLive whenever you are going to take admission. Actually, the course costs us 70,000. But if you use the code PDLive, it will be made available to you at 29,999 only. For other courses also, you can use the code PDLive. Now, let's begin with the various topics of today. These are the many important topics that we have to cover. First, we will start with International Literacy Day, because I asked a practice question for this, and those of you who have answered it correctly, I will take your name by the end of this class. So the International Literacy Day is targeted towards which of the following Sustainable Development Goals? SDG 4, 3, 8 or 7. Sometimes it can happen that the schemes that are launched on an international and a national level, they have to be in congruence with the Sustainable Development Goal. And this can be asked for any government schemes as well. If the government has launched any sort of scheme, you have to always interrelate them with the Sustainable Development Goals, because these kind of questions are the favorite of UPSC examination. Sustainable Development Goal number 4 talks about literacy, and the International Literacy Day is celebrated on the 8th of September every year. It was established in the year 1966, and after 1 year it was celebrated for the first time. So, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, that is option A, is correct. Many of you have answered it correctly. I will take your names by the end of the class. So, we are going to emphasize upon how education or literacy is related to human dignity. It is not a luxury, it is a fundamental right. And this day raises awareness about that. The idea of it was first, the seeds of it grew at the World Conference of Ministers of Education on the eradication of illiteracy. And that happened in Tehran in 1965. Later, UNESCO officially declared September 8 as the International Literacy Day on 14th UNESCO General Assembly Conference in 1966. So UNESCO was the first one to observe it. A year later, the world celebrated its first International Literacy Day, that was on September 8th. Sometimes UPSC can also ask us about the themes, and you have to be very careful with the themes, because it may be okay for this much, as in for prelims statement, it can give you certain parts which are correct and certain parts which are incorrect. So you have to remember the entire thing. Then only you can score good marks. Promoting literacy for a world in transition. That means the world is in transition right now. The world is moving from conventional to renewable energy. The world is moving from a very volatile, from a very stable world for a period of time to now very volatile world. The world is also moving from the general education that we get to artificial intelligence. So promoting literacy for a world in transition, not only the conventional sorts of education is important, but more developed digital information, digital literacy is also important. Building the foundation for sustainable and peaceful society. because Russia-Ukraine war and China-Taiwan issues are arising so much. That is why peaceful society, sustainable, remember it from the perspective of sustainable development goals. So sustainable development goal number 1 is no poverty. Second is no hunger. Then we have third, good health and well-being. Then fourth is quality education. And then fifth is gender equality, clean water and sanitation stands at number 6, and so on. Sometimes UPSC can also ask us to consider the pairs. They will give you sustainable development goal numbers and you have to match what they stand for. So you have to ensure that take a cutout of this and stick it in front of your study table, because this could be a really good and scoring question. If you do not know it, you may lose it. And in prelims, there is a fight for even 2 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks. So if remember, every question needs to be handled with depth. See, there will be certain questions that will be put by the UPSC in order to fail you. That is how this institute works. So just take care of those things which are in your hands. What is beyond our control, we cannot have anything over that. But what is in our control is understanding the conventional questions that UPSC may ask, being very, up to date with current affairs. And these classes will help you for current affairs a lot, and the static part also. So consider the following: alternative to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, bring in political stability in the Arabian Peninsula, breaks Pakistan's veto over India's overland connectivity to the west, deepen India's strategic engagement with the Arabian Peninsula. So, we have to understand that how many of the above are an advantage of the India, Middle East, Europe green transport corridor. Recently at the G20 summit, India, along with other nations, has outfoxed China's Belt and Road Initiative. And this all comes amidst when Italy doesn't want to remain a part of the Belt and Road Initiative because it hasn't gotten any sort of significant results in being a part of the BRI. When it joined in 2019, it was the major Western country to do it. So now the Italians are saying, no, thank you. We do not want to be a part of your BRI. It has not given us any concrete results. And this is kind of a blow to China. Specifically, just days ahead of the Belt and Road Initiative conference is going to happen. So, this particular India, Middle East, Europe transport corridor is a corridor which is made up of ports and railway links. Ports, of course, from India to the different countries of the Middle East. And thereafter, the Middle East will be connected by rail links. And thereafter, different ports will be connected to the regions of Europe. So, this is that. And it is a part of another initiative. This is not a standalone part, as in this is not a standalone initiative. This is an initiative of the West that was taken. The decision to this was taken at the 48th G7 summit. We will get into all that. But yes, it's an alternative to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. We are going to have sustainable loans and we are going to connect with sustainability, not opaqueness. So first is correct. We know that West Asia is in a lot of turmoil lot of the times because the neighbors are not in good terms with each other generally. So when there is an economic vacuum, that means if any country is not economically fulfilled, it will definitely rise to radicalism. It will give rise to radicalism. And it is easy for certain terrorist groups to raise their battalions on the basis of economic vacuum. That is why second is also correct. The political temperatures will be corrected. It will also break Pakistan's veto over India's overland connectivity because Pakistan time and again has not given us connectivity to Afghanistan. Pakistan could have earned so much money by giving us access. But because the army there wants to perpetuate the narrative against India so that it can remain in power, that is why it never will let Pakistan grow economically. So third is also there. And then we have the fourth one, deepen India's strategic engagement with the Arabian Peninsula. Yes. After the British left, we could see that now we do not have any sort of relationship with the Arabian Peninsula when it comes to trade. We know since the Harappan civilization, India had trade relations with the Arabian Peninsula through Dilmun, which is now very acceptable to be Bahrain. And there, India was known as Meluha. So now, India is going back to the old spice route, and this is the modern spice route. So all four are an advantage of the India, Middle East, Europe transport corridor. All four will be the correct answer. See, this is how this particular engagement will look. As you see, from the ports of India, we will be connected to different ports of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. We have bypassed whom? Pakistan. Afghanistan right now is in Taliban's hand. That is why India has not engaged enough. Then we have Iran. Although we have Chabahar port over here, but due to the sanctions of the West, the commercial engagement has been reduced. That is why this area is very important now for India to reach the different areas of Europe and even West Asia itself. So you see, sometimes it can happen that UPSC may ask you questions with respect to ports. I have also given one question on the map based section in my Map Insights class. Do watch that. So Jebel Ali is in UAE, the port. There are many other ports in Saudi Arabia. Haifa port is in Israel. Through that also we shall be connected with respect to trade to European nations, and many countries are taking part in this. Countries that are a part of it are India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, European Union, France, Italy, Germany, and the US. It's a rail and shipping corridor. It is a part of, remember, it is a part of the Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment. It's a collaborative project of the G7, so that whatever trade gap is there, whatever is not trade gap, whatever infrastructure gap is there, there is about $40 trillion of infrastructure gap in the low developing and less developing countries. So we have to fill that need. That is why this particular Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment has been made. Under it, the European Union is also going to fund it. US is going to fund it. There is a funding procedure for it. So it will be funded as a part of this only. It will enable greater trade among involved countries and energy products. Rail link is there. There is an electricity cable, a hydrogen pipeline, high-speed data cable. It is being touted as a green and digital bridge across continents and civilizations. There are many important takeaways. We have many reasons to be, saying it, that why do we need it. First, it has already been said and always been said, even in New Delhi, that the USA and India, they have only one point of convergence or one point of commonality. That is the Indo-Pacific. India needs the US and US needs the India for Indo-Pacific. But it did not have any sort of commonality for West Asia. Now with this particular project, we are saying that no, not only the Indo-Pacific, India and the USA, India and the West, specifically the allies of USA and India's allies now, they will be able to coordinate through this project also. The I2U2 forum was established to reiterate that narrative only. The India, Israel, USA and UAE. I2U2 stands for that. I2 means India and Israel, U2 means UAE and the USA. This forum, so that proper economic projects can take place. Some projects were pushed. Then second, it breaks Pakistan's veto over India's overland connectivity with the West. Pakistan never lets us use its routes, trade routes I'm talking about. So that is why we cannot reach Afghanistan, we cannot reach Central Asia. Here, it is important for India to maintain its relationship with countries such as Afghanistan, Tajikistan, so that it can reach Central Asia. But now for us, we need more connectivity, and that can be made available through this route. That is why Pakistan's veto has been bypassed. I have already told you that with Tehran, India has good relations and we have the Chabahar port over here. But due to the sanctions of the West, the commercial interests of India are at a losing point. That is why this has been shown as an alternative. However, this will impact for a bit of time the relationship that India has with Iran. Fourth is that the corridor will deepen India's strategic engagement with the Arabian Peninsula. I have already told you that. And the mega connectivity project may bring down the political temperatures that is in the Arabian Peninsula. I have already explained it to you. It is an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Also, it is financial as well as ecological, unlike China's project. China gives so much amount in loans, but it never shows us what kind of interest it is charging. And that has created a problem in not one, two, but three, four countries. So that is why. The corridor also marks the mobilization of Europe into the infrastructural development in West Asia, and 300 million euros for infrastructure spending worldwide has already been earmarked during 2021-27, so we can use it through that. And eighth point is the Trans-African Corridor, which connects different countries such as Angola, DRC, Zambia. So this can provide a gateway to this project as well, which is the partnership for US and the European Union. So India can also engage now. I would like to tell you that it is important for you to attend this class. I have shown you the prelims questions are based on not only facts but also concept. If your concepts are not clear, you may not be able to answer these kind of questions, the last question which we solved. So you got so many points to write in your mains examination also. It is important that you attend this class on a daily basis. Just believe me, your UPSC 2024 with respect to current affairs will be very strong. I can promise you on that. Now, with reference to the Konark Wheel, consider the following statements. It was built by King Narasimha Deva I, the ruler of the Ganga dynasty. In the ancient times, the Konark Wheel was used as a sundial to calculate time to a minute, including day and night. It reflects the richness of the Dravidian architectural style. So, how many of the statements given above are correct? C is are correct. It would be the Konark Wheel from the Sun Temple was at the venue of G20 like this. It was a big blow up, and the Sun Temple is the only World Heritage Site of Odisha. And the Konark Wheel is more than you think. It's not just architectural. It's more than that. It can also be used as a sundial. So that makes the second statement to be correct. Then with reference to the, it was built by King Narasimha Dev I. This is definitely correct. He was a ruler in the Eastern Ganga dynasty. So first is correct. Second is also correct. It reflects the richness of the Dravidian architectural style. No. It reflects the Kalinga style, not Dravidian. So 1 and 2 are correct. Third is not correct. B, 2 only will be the correct answer. It was built by the King Narasimha Dev I of the Eastern Ganga dynasty. Around 1200 artisans were delved into this, and they took a good amount of 12 years to build the entire thing. Chlorite and sandstones were used. Sometimes this can also be asked. Sun Temple is basically a chariot mounted on 24 wheels. Each of them is about 10 feet in diameter and drawn by 7 mighty horses. The Konark Wheel was also used as a sundial to calculate time to a minute, including day and night. It also reflects the richness of the Kalinga architectural style. Sun Temple, a World Heritage Site in 1984, it was designated so. It is Odisha's only World Heritage Site. A very good prelims statement-based question can be formulated. So UPSC is a happy yet fearful blend of concepts and facts. Why do I say fearful? Because current affairs, you have to remain in touch with it. I always tell students, do not at all depend on one current affairs magazine. If you're doing the current affairs part on a daily basis, through the daily current affairs, and reading the editorials, you do not need any sort of magazines. Many toppers, they say that if you do current affairs on a daily basis, you do not need it, the magazine. The magazine is for those who just do lazy work. They are not dependent on the daily current affairs. They think that I will just go through the magazines at the later period, and that is not productive. Because what happens, one news after the another, it comes as a link. And if you're attending daily current affairs on a daily basis, you will understand that link. If you are able to understand that link, you will remember things better. That is why I tell you, do current affairs on a daily basis. Do not worry about any sort of magazine. Alright, this will of course go a long way. Consider the following statements with respect to the United Nations Security Council. Originally, there were 11 members of the Security Council, 5 were permanent, 6 were non-permanent. Permanent membership in the Security Council was granted to 5 states based on their importance in the aftermath of the World War II. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? Turkey has backed India's permanent membership bid to the UNSC? Just think about Pakistan now. Also, USA and Brazil are backing India's permanent bid to the permanent UNSC. So, right now, the world is changing. The world is in a great transition phase, which is very favorable for India. And originally in the UNSC, there were 11 members. 5, the P5, permanent 5, are those countries which have nuclear weapons. Others are also there, but because nobody wants to let go of their hegemony in a powerful body like the UNSC. But Turkey says that the world is now bigger than the P5. The world includes other countries as well. So the UNSC needs to be representative. By letting the African Union become a part of the G20, we have come into an era, we have entered into an era that is going to see a lot of reformation in the multilateral institutes. The world is not the world of 1940s anymore. It is the world of 2020s. So we have to ensure that whatever bodies are there, they are representative of the geopolitical realities. So that is why it is important for having reforms. The first is correct. There were 5 permanent earlier and 6 non-permanent. Now we have 15, in which 5 are of course the P5 and remaining 10 are the non-permanent members. They keep on changing. Permanent members, according to Oppenheim's law, it was granted to the 5 states based on their importance after the aftermath of the World War II. Both are correct. Both 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. I have already explained you what the news has been. And according to the UN Charter, Article 23, the Security Council shall consist of 15 members of the United Nations. The United Nations Security Council has 15 members. 5 permanent, P5 are China, France, United Kingdom, Russia, and the USA. The remaining 10 keep on changing. They keep on changing on certain things. 10 non-permanent members, 5 of which are elected each by the General Assembly for a 2-year term. Remember this statement. Every year there will be election for 5 members and they will hold the seat for 2-year term. Originally there were 11 members of the Security Council and 5 permanent, 6 non-permanent were there. In 1963 this changed and the increment was there from 11 to 16. It has set a pattern. 5 will be from African and Asian states, 1 from Eastern European states, 2 from Latin American and 2 from Western European states. Now, according to Oppenheim's international law, United Nations permanent membership in the SC was granted to 5 states which were important after the World War II. MQ-9B was in the news. It is fighter jet, surface-to-air missiles, unmanned aerial vehicles, aircraft carrier. The correct answer to this question is option C, that is unmanned aerial vehicle. So India and the United States discussed the recent pact between GE Aerospace and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to manufacture GE F414 jet engines in India. This is a big deal. Create a lot of employment, technological upliftment opportunity for India. And MQ-9B is an unmanned aerial vehicle capable of remotely controlled or autonomous flight operation. Now, let's look at the next question. Payload we have to match with the capability they are built for. Aditya L1 is carrying total 7 payloads. We have to ensure that we know what is their purpose. And there are going to be very intricate details that you have to understand over here. So these are the 3 payloads and the capability. We have to see how many are correct. First is Solar Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope. Suit Coronal Imaging and Spectroscopy. No. First pair will be incorrect. Why? Because it is going to take care of photosphere and chromosphere, the suit. We talk about coronal imaging and spectroscopy. It will be taken care of by WELC. Then Aditya Solar and Particle Experiment. Aspects. Solar Wind Particle Analyzer, electrons and heavier ions with detections. We are going to study both protons and electrons. So remember if Aditya or Aspects will do it or not. High energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer, which is hard X-ray spectrometer, sun as a star observation. How many are correct? See, first is not correct. I have told you the reason. Second is a very intelligent guessing one. As not guessing, I wouldn't call it, but an intelligent picking of words. Aspects will take care of protons and not electrons. Okay. Protons is a work of a different payload. And high energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer will take care of hard X-ray, and it will observe in hard X-ray how sun works as a star. First is incorrect, second is also incorrect, only third is correct. Okay, third one only will be the correct answer. There are 7 instruments that are being carried by Aditya L1, which was launched recently, and it is going through continuous orbiting uplifting maneuver. That means the orbit of the Aditya L1 is being raised. It will undergo 5 orbit raising. 3 have already been done. Remaining, it will take time. In 2 weeks, we will see the remaining undergoing of the orbit raising will be done. And then it will cruise its way to the Lagrange 1, which is a parking spot between the Earth and the Sun. There are 5 Lagrange points that are created by the gravity pull of the Sun and the Earth. So it will take approximately 4 months from the date of its launch to the date of its reaching to the Lagrange point 1. And it is carrying 7 payloads, out of which 4 will carry remote sensing and 3 will carry in situ observation. So remote sensing, first is WELC. WELC will take care of corona imaging and spectroscopy. SOOT will take care of photosphere and chromosphere imaging broadband. And then we have solar low energy X-ray spectrometer, which will take care of soft X-ray. There is soft X-ray and then there is hard X-ray. Remember these two as well. High energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer will take care of that hard imaging. Soft one will be taken care of solar low energy X-ray spectrometer, that is SOLEX. Okay, then we have the in situ experiment one. Aspects will take care of solar wind particle analyzer proton. There it was written electron. Electron will be taken care of by Papa, that is plasma analyzer package for Aditya. And then we have advanced triaxial high resolution digital magnetometer, which is going to talk about magnetic field. All right, I hope you understood it. With reference to the incremental cash reserve ratio, consider the following statements. It was introduced by RBI to absorb excess liquidity from the banking system. The amounts impounded under the ICRR would be released in stages and is a temporary measure. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? Cash reserve ratio is a fraction of the total deposits that the banks have to maintain either with themselves or with the central bank in order to ensure that there is not too much liquidity in the system. If there will be too much liquidity in the system, there will be inflation. If I have too much money, I will have more demands. If I have more demands, the supply may not be able to match that, and it will create the inflation issue. So that is why ICRR was introduced when the RBI said that please return 2000 rupee notes back to the bank. And that meant that banks will have a lot of money to give as loans. So the central bank said, no, you have to ensure that you have to keep an amount with yourself as well, so that you do not loan out the entire amount. So it was introduced by the RBI to absorb excess liquidity from the banking system, and it will now be phased out. And second is also because of the first one is correct. So both 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. RBI has announced that it would discontinue the incremental cash reserve ratio in a phased manner. It will release the amounts which the banks have maintained under ICRR in stages, different stages, not all at once. The ICRR was introduced on August 10, 2023 by the RBI to absorb the surplus liquidity which was generated by various factors, including the return of rupees 2000 notes to the banking system. The amounts impounded under this will be released in stages so that the system liquidity is not subjected to sudden shocks and money market fluctuation. It will release the 25% of the funds maintained by the lenders under the ICRR on September 9th. Another 25% of the amount will be maintained under ICRR. It will be released on September 23rd, and the balance 50% will be released on October 7th. All right, I hope you understood how it worked. Moving on, consider the following: conferences, summits, games. UNESCO Conference 1966, Asian Games 1951, India-Africa Forum 2015, NAM Summit 1993. So how many of the above summits, conferences, games were held in India? Why have I asked you this question? Because any event that has happened in India never matched the magnitude, the importance, and the presence as of the G20 summit. And it could be asked in your preliminary examination. This is important for your mains as well. UNESCO conference 1956 was hosted by India, not 1966. Remember the years as well. Asian Games 1982 were hosted by India, not 1951. India Africa Forum 2015 was held in India. NAM Summit 1983 was held in India, not 1993. So these three are not correct. Only third is correct. One only will be the correct answer. So I have already told you about this. Commonwealth Games of 2010, India Africa Forum Summit of 2015. This is a practice question for you to answer. Consider the following statements about the ASEAN India Summit. India has invited ASEAN countries to join Coalition for Disaster Management Infrastructure. Timor-Leste participated as in the summit as a new permanent member, and the 20th ASEAN India Summit was held at Manila. So, how many of the statements given above is or are correct? You have to answer it correctly because I have taught you this in one of my DCAs. So, let me take the names of those students who have answered the last question correctly so that you can answer this question as well. Ria, good work, Ria. Mansi, Ria, thank you so much. Komal, Vivek, Piyush, Raj Tiwari, Prabhat, Sagar, Hobo, Mukul, Priyadarshan, Omkar, Ritu, thank you, Ritu. Abhijit, Kadam, I will try to do that for you. Thank you. Utkal, Pragati, my mobile phone. Sandeep, you can text me on my Instagram. I will answer this question. And again, Sandeep, okay, I will answer your question. Manish, Abhishek, thank you, Hira, Simran. Thank you so much for answering the last question. Answer this question as well so that I can take your names. In the upcoming class, let me show you where you have to choose from. Okay, thank you so much.